two of my buddies and I were talking, and one of them is an employee, the other one is the owner of this particular business. Both super nice guys, and both are focused on self-development. And the owner and I were talking about influence and talking about how to take your social skills and improve results that you want. And I was giving him my thoughts on that whole thing, and started talking about the book Influence by Robert Cialdini, and it was really cool because the owner and I were going back and forth with different cases and different situations and scenarios that show how something as simple as like a fist bump or touching on the shoulder or handshake, hugs, things like that with customers, with prospects, with different people, which I just reminded myself that I just remembered that I need to get back to somebody. Anyway, how something as simple as that can increase the success rate of a person wanting to give more in tips, give more in reciprocation of gifts, buy more stuff from you, things like that. And as we're talking back and forth, the other guy was just like, geez, how do you know this? And the owner simply looked at him and said, when you're listening to music while you're working out, when you're listening to music while you're in the car, when you're listening to watching TV and stuff, he said, I dedicated 2 years of just listening to audiobooks and just listening to people that I knew were going to get me to the next level. So while he was in the gym, he'd be listening to Jim Rohn, he'd be listening to Tony Robbins, he'd be listening to Robert Kiyosaki, he'd be listening to different audiobooks, Napoleon Hill, and so on. And the key thing with that, though, was that it was so difficult in the beginning. Extremely difficult, because you want to be pumped up listening to music and stuff, and I still do that. I do that at the end of my workout. But during the workout, generally, I listen to things that are going to improve myself. And the thing is that it was so hard in the beginning for me and for this business owner, but it then became a habit. And it became almost such a habit that to listen to music while you're in the car or listen to music while you are working out, it felt odd. It felt like you're wasting time, you're wasting an opportunity. And of course, there's nothing wrong with listening to music. But if you want to achieve a certain result, if you want to get to a specific place, if you want to be a certain person, listening to music all day long, let's say you have a car ride of an hour to and from work, that's 2 hours. That's 2 hours of a book that you could have read that was written by a millionaire or written by a scientist or written by somebody in your field that is sharing their wisdom. 2 hours per day times 7. 14 hours of getting a download from a billionaire, millionaire, multimillionaire, or whatever, somebody who's won a Nobel Prize, whatever, downloaded into your mind in a week. That is something that's so much more powerful than listening to Jay-Z or Rihanna or whatever. Not to say that music's bad, I'm not judging it at all. But if you want to achieve your goals, you need to get there. And it's crazy because the thing is, we were speaking a different language We were talking about things that literally the other guy could not comprehend. And he would take little things from what we were talking about and then utilize them and see success with them. But as a whole, we understood a language that he simply did not understand. Language of social dynamics, a language of business, a language of marketing, a language of sales and copywriting, a language of taxes, accounting, language of it. These are things that 2 years of listening to things that build you up, build the person of you up, you will start to see the world differently. You will speak differently. You will act differently. You'll become that person that you've always dreamt of, because you're listening to people who you admire, who you want to be like, and it's as if they're talking to you every day for 2 years. It's as if you have a friend every day for 2 years. What most people don't know about people like Napoleon Hill and so on, a lot of his, if not all, of his interviews with these big wigs were simply from his imagination and from him pretending they were his friends. But he knew so much about them. He had done so much research that they might as well have been there with him. And that's what happens when you listen to these audiobooks. Not so much podcasts, because you can waste time with podcasts, especially with things like Joe Rogan. Yeah, he has a few good guests on, but a lot of the guests, they'll have some newfangled thing. Go take an ice bath. Go take nitrogen water or hydrogen water or whatever, and then it's on to the next fad and the next fad and the next fad. I'm talking about people who are where you want to be physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Getting a $13 ebook or audiobook and learning from them for a few hours about their specific viewpoint, their specific mindset. And when you get in the habit of that, you will, without a shadow of a doubt, you'll start thinking like them, talking like them. You'll have the results of them. It might be the exact results. It might be a little bit less, or it might be even more than the person that you listen to. But it takes the initial sacrifice. I would say 1 week. 1 week of sacrifice of popping in your AirPods or earphones or whatever and listening to that audiobook while you're working out, while you're driving. It'll be painful, it'll suck, you won't like it, you won't be motivated, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, after about a week, if you try going back to music, I promise you, you will start to feel bad about the music, just like you're feeling bad about the audiobook. In fact, it's a little bit less. It's almost a feeling of regret. It's a little bit more. It's a feeling of a regret. Feeling like, I've heard this song many, many, many times. It might pump me up, but it wasn't really doing. Now, for me, I listen to my audiobooks and things like that during my workout, and at the very end when I'm doing cardio, that's when I pop on the music. And you can do it however you want, but I challenge you. Start listening to things. Take 1 week, and promise you after 1 week, your life will change. And you will grow into a learning machine that is always taking the opportunity to learn new and amazing things.